the news, I'm Su-yi. China's retail sales of consumer goods, a major indicator of consumption growth, went up 33.8% year-on-year to nearly 7 trillion yuan, or about $1 trillion in the first 2 months of 2021. The figure represents an annual average growth of 3.2% in the past 2 years. The catering industry reported a 68.9% increase in revenue as the hardest hit sector continued to recover from the impacts of COVID-19. China has issued a yellow alert for sandstorms in the northern part of the country. Starting from Monday and lasting into Tuesday, cold fronts and heavy winds are expected to bring floating sand and dust to 12 provinces and cities, including Inner Mongolia, Hebei, and Beijing. The sandstorm swept across Beijing on Monday, turning the sky orange, limiting visibility to less than 1,000 meters and disrupting traffic. Authorities have advised the public to take precautions against the heavy winds and sandstorms and suggested that drivers prepare for poor visibility. China has expressed strong opposition to a statement by the Group of Seven on a decision to improve Hong Kong's electoral system. The group expressed concerns about the decision, claiming it will, quote, erode democratic elements of the electoral system. A spokesperson for the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office of China's State Council says the decision is expected to serve as a fundamental solution to realizing long-term peace and stability in Hong Kong. He says the illegal activities once rampant in Hong Kong, including riots, were directly supported by some Western countries. New York City has marked a year since the first fatalities from COVID-19. An evening ceremony on the Brooklyn waterfront paid tribute to the approximately 30,000 city residents killed by the coronavirus since March 2020. Scientists now believe the virus had been circulating silently in the New York City metropolitan area for weeks before officials announced the city's first positive test March 2nd. A member of the joint team involving the World Health Organization and China has suggested continuing to look for possible early COVID-19 cases in a wider range around the globe. The joint tracing of the origin of the outbreak has found that a coronavirus with a gene sequence that's highly similar to COVID-19 occurs in bats and pangolins, but the similarity is still not enough to make it a direct ancestor. It found that a Huanan seafood market in Wuhan could be an outbreak site and amplifier of the pandemic. The team also found that a virus was discovered in environmental tests at the market after its closure, but what channels the coronavirus at the market might have been introduced through is still uncertain. Iran will appoint a special rapporteur to assess the impact of sanctions imposed by the United States and Europe on the people of the country. The results of the assessment will be submitted to judicial and human rights authorities at international, regional, and national levels. Officials say the rapporteur will take steps to form a global front against the violation of human rights of independent nations caused by unjust sanctions. They say Iran will support the victims of such sanctions in various human rights forums. 9 people involved in a forest fire in Ningxia have surrendered to the police. They visited graves on a barren hill in a village on Saturday and caused the fire when paying tribute by burning fake paper offerings. The fire left 2 dead and 6 others injured, scorching over 260 hectares of land. Over 2,000 people were mobilized to extinguish the fire, as has eventually been put out. Chinese film Hi Mom is set for worldwide release soon, having raked in over 5.2 billion yuan, or nearly $810 million domestically. It's the top earner of this year and the second highest grossing film ever in China's box office. The Chinese blockbuster is slated for release in countries and regions, including North America, Britain, Spain, Australia, Japan, and Malaysia. Hi Mom was released on the Chinese Lunar New Year on February the 12th. I Can Breathe by American singer-songwriter H.E.R. has won the Song of the Year at the 63rd Grammy Awards. The 23-year-old musician beat out a group of nominees that included Taylor Swift and Dua Lipa. The song was written in memory of George Floyd and the many Black Americans who died at the hands of police. And that's the news.